Four games today at the FIFA World Cup, and it's now time for the fourth and final game. Today it's Belgium versus Canada at Ahmad bin Ali Stadium. Hello, everyone. I'm Mahirson Hassan. As you can see, I'm not in the echo chamber anymore. I'm right here at an edit bay, right here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication here in Phoenix. A big matchup ahead of us as Belgium faces Canada. Belgium fresh off their best performance at the World Cup back in 2018, where they got third, and Canada facing off in their first World Cup game in 36 years. With that, let's take a look at the starting lineup, starting off with Canada, who will be the visitors in today's match. They will go with the 3-4-2-1, and we'll start off in the back with Milan Borjan being their goalkeeper. Their center backs today, going from left to right, will be Kamal Miller, along with Steven Vittoria and Alistair Johnston. In the midfield, you're going to have Richie Larea, Steven Eustachio, Atiba Hutchinson, and Junior Hualet. Your two A-mids will be Alphonso Davies back in the lineup after some changes here and there. Tejan Buchanan will also be joining him. And up top will be Jonathan David. They are head coach by John Herdman. Belgium on the other side will also line up in a 3-4-2-1. Biggest news for the day for them, no Romelu Lukaku will be in the lineup. Thibaut Courtois will be their goalkeeper, and in the back for the defenders, they'll have Jan Vertonghen, along with their other center back, Toby Alderweireld, and also there will be Leander Dendoncker. Their midfield consists of Yannick Carrasco, Axel Witsel, Yuri Tielemans, and also there will be Castagna. Yes, Timothy Castagna. Also there as your A-mids will be Eden Hazard, and Kevin De Bruyne. Up top will be Michy Batshuayi starting in the place of Romelu Lukaku. There's a look at Alphonso Davies. Youngest guy on this Canadian roster, but nonetheless, probably one of the most important as we're underway here from Ahmad bin Ali Stadium. Canada in the all-white going from right to left. Belgium in the red tops, black shorts, black socks going from left to right. And starts off in the back there with Kamal Miller. As I noted earlier, Canada actually has the most amount of MLS players on their lineup, actually even beating out the United States men's national team. Only two of them will be starting in this game, though, is Kamal Miller and Alistair Johnston, both of whom play for Club Football Montreal. Alphonso Davies, of course, playing for Bayern Munich. Tejan Buchanan spent a lot of time with the New England Revolution, and now he's over there in Europe, making up some pretty good time there. Buchanan playing with Club Brugge, in fact, in Belgium. Nonetheless, here we see a Belgian attack. Batshuayi looks for options, rips a shot, and Borjan makes his first save of the day. As Michy Batshuayi, one of those big guys for Belgium. If you look at his track record, ended up having a lot of goals. In fact, actually at 2018 World Cup against Panama, one of those instances, 48 caps, 26 goals. Here's Canada on the other side as Davies rattles down the left. It's cleared away. Not out for a corner as it's headed away there by Belgium for the meantime. Castagna doing the work there. As here's Davies now on the ball. Davies cutting inside there. Plays it out to David. And with that, we go to the other side now. Played on the other side. Johnson tried to get a cross off. That one going to the corner. Working up there against Carrasco is Johnston. With that, here we see another motor into the box. Inside the box is Canada. Eustachio's shot is blocked. Once again knocked away. So both teams with chances early on to try to get on the board, unable to do so there. That's probably what you want to see out of Canada too. I mean, sure, we've seen a lot of upsets in this World Cup. One of these coming earlier today as Japan beat Germany 2-1. Morocco drew with Croatia 0-0. A lot of upsets, and I think it kind of shows what this World Cup's all about. It's anybody's game, and anything is possible at any given moment. Nonetheless, here we see Belgium again. Just to note, Eden Hazard is the one in at A-mid, not Torgan Hazard, both of whom have had some pretty good seasons. Eden playing for Real Madrid, Torgan playing for Dortmund, both of whom getting a lot of appearances there. Tejan Buchanan called for the foul there on Jan Vertonghen. 2 minutes and 30 seconds in, some more replays. Batshuayi with the laser shot, and Borjan, the 35-year-old, just has to get down. Makes the easy save in this one. Interesting crowd on tap today. A lot of open seats, kind of what we've seen so far in this Qatar World Cup. But overall, not bad at all. This ball goes out as we see Vertonghen on the ball. Vertonghen, Alderweireld, and Den Donker will be your back as Courtois plays it forward. Picked off there, and here comes Canada the other way. Played by Johnson, out on the right now for Buchanan. Once again, going up against Carrasco. Good recovery by him. Yannick Carrasco playing with Atletico de Madrid has spent a lot of time at this big level for Canada. So throw in now. Throw in now for Canada deep in that attacking third area. So nonetheless, here's Canada once again. Carrasco to take the throw. Interesting decision as Belgium kind of on the back foot here early on. 3 minutes, 43 seconds through here in Qatar. Ahmad bin Ali Stadium hosted its first World Cup game just a couple days ago as the United States drew with Wales in a thriller there. Now facing their second as Belgium faces off against Canada today. Still bouncing in the area, still going with the Belgium, and we see a Canadian down there in the middle. And Batshuayi once again kind of called there for the foul. A little interesting call there, nonetheless. Still kind of trying to keep the pace up, trying to keep the focus up for Canada. That one pipped out, and Jonathan David couldn't save there on the end. A little mishap there from the camera, nonetheless. Good recognition. Roberto Martinez will be the manager today for Belgium, as he has been for the past few years. Spent a lot of time in Spain. Actually, went a little bit in England, and actually played 1 year in Belgium. Of course, well known as the Wigan's manager over the years. Actually played with Wigan for a few years. Throwing now for Castagna and Belgium. Timothy Castagna playing your kind of your right wingback formation, as was the case against Egypt, Belgium's most recent tune-up, in which they actually lost 2-1 to Egypt. Kevin De Bruyne had kind of a lackluster mishap in that game that caused the game to at least one goal go to Egypt and caused Egypt to win that match. That one being played in Kuwait before the Belgians made the trip to Qatar. Boyan plays this out to Johnson, once again back in the defensive half. Once again, checking back in, doing a lot of work, Junior Hoilett on that right side. Throwing now for Canada. Once again, we're seeing, I think, differences between Canada's 3-4-2-1 and Belgium, in the sense that Belgium has been very lenient in how they play their back line. Canada, once again, as we've seen from Johnston, who's used to playing right back proper with Montreal during the year, he has been kind of going up the pitch and especially providing some help later on. This one pipped forward there by Belgium. I believe that was for Tongan there, trying to get it through Canada. Once again, kind of at midfield, trying to get the ball back. Good pick off there by Eustachio as it goes out to Larea. Larea playing your right wing back formation instead of Hoilett. Hoilett will be a little bit there. This one swung in by Buchanan. David gets in the area. Couldn't get a shot off. Nonetheless, Canada will get a corner kick here. 7th minute, and Canada once again, I think has proven themselves. They're physical. You think about it. I don't think, in my opinion, FIFA's given them a lot of respect, despite them being the best, at least getting the most points in CONCACAF World Cup qualifying. Only 41 going into this game. Number 2 is Belgium. Belgium, of course, number 2, spent 3.5 years atop the FIFA rankings at number 1, then kind of fell down after Euro 2020 last year. Here we go. Corner for Canada on the right-hand side for them. I believe it might be Junior Hoilett to take this one in. Not much we've seen from Alphonso Davies. Nonetheless, Hoilett swings this one into the box. Buchanan brings it down. Buchanan's shot is deflected, and it's saved there by Courtois. He's calling for a handball there, Buchanan, but he's not going to get it there from the ref. Once again, Canada with a lot of options going forward. And as you can see, I think you know who I'm rooting for in this one. I apologize for any Belgians who may be watching this, but I got to go Team Canada. I've got a lot of family up there, and I was talking with them yesterday about the game and the fact that I think everybody's kind of being bought in, and the fact that even though it's been 36 years since Canada has won, or rather has been to a World Cup, it's been a while. It's been a while, and I think just for them to experience that, and I think now the ref has made the decision to go to the VAR for a possible penalty. How about this for a change? It was very late too. I mean, this call, at least when I called it, was about 30 to 45 seconds ago. Nonetheless, the Canadians very excited. So Buchanan called for the handball. From this angle, the question is, was there a hand out? It was Yannick Carrasco and Jan Vertonghen in the area, and Carrasco's left hand might have grazed it in a rather unnatural position, meaning Canada would have the advantage. Little interesting here, and kind of goes to the perspective of what we've seen at this World Cup. Is like it started off slow, now we're getting into some interesting games. Here's the verdict from the refs. Quick change, penalty, Canada. Interestingly enough, back in 1986, Canada mustered 0 points, and they also mustered 0 goals at that World Cup in Mexico. With that, a yellow card goes to Carrasco, first booking of the day for either side. Ninth minute, and Canada with a chance to make this a 1-0 game early on. Speak of upsets, we might have one here on our hands at Ahmad Bin Ali Stadium. And taking the penalty, Alphonso Davies. Like I said, a young guy, only 22 years old, but sure has been on that spot. 34 caps, 12 goals. The Bayern Munich man going up against Thibaut Courtois of Real Madrid. Not in the Champions League, but you're in the World Cup. Davies against Carrasco, or not, pardon me, not Carrasco, Courtois. Pardon me for that. As the ref sorts it out with the Belgians, make sure everybody is not beyond that box line right there. 18 yards out from Courtois, who stands in goal. Alphonso Davies, 12 yards away from Courtois, looking to give Canada the lead here. 12 yards away as the ref makes sure everything's ready. Whistle blows. It's Davies against Courtois. Davies puts it up, saved by Courtois. Rebound is up, and David puts it over the bar. An opportunity wasted for Canada as Davies went to his left. Courtois went to his right and parries it for the save. The rebound is no good, and it remains a 0-0 game here at Al Rayyan. Yeah, so Davies there going bottom left corner. And whether it be the lack of pace, just not really pointing it towards the corner either. So Alphonso Davies, although he being a leader, unable to give his crew the lead here early on. 10 minutes, 30 seconds through here at Ahmad Bin Ali Stadium. Back to Borjan we go. With that, maybe that's the momentum Belgium needs early on. We saw this in the case with France Australia yesterday, in which Australia scored a good and early goal too, in the case of Goodwin in the 9th minute, before France basically came storming back and won the game 4-1 and said, no, the champions curse is not happening, at least not with us. So Les Bleus did it yesterday. The Red Devils still tied up 0-0 with Canada, trying to get something going. They haven't gotten much. Nonetheless, Canada the other way. Eustachio plays it through for David down the left-hand side. Edge of the box plays it in. While that can't get there, Buchanan just buried there in the middle as Belgium cleans up on the defensive side. Vertonghen now decides to clear it away. De Bruyne can't keep it in play. Throw in now for Canada right at midfield on the far side of the pitch. Good options for Canada so far going forward, as they have really shown their power and their pace in this game throughout the match so far. Interesting moves here by Canada. Here's Buchanan once again on the left hand or right hand side rather. Exciting 12 minutes here in Qatar. Still trying to get something going though. Still have been trying to get a goal too. Have not seen that many early goals, of course, at least here on the live reacts. Of course, Qatar, Ecuador got started off early on. Nonetheless, shot taken here, and it will parry wide. Richie Larea. Get my words right. Richie Larea. There we go. You got me here. Richie Larea there with the shot. Of course, another guy who has spent a lot of time in MLS. So I should stand corrected then. 3 players on MLS are playing there. Larea has kind of been a journeyman throughout. Started off his time with Louisville City SC and USL, and ended up playing at Orlando City for a few years. Now back in Toronto in his home country. Dave, or pardon me, Wallet sends this into the box. It's still there for Jonathan David. His shot is blocked, and Canada still knocks on the door. Buchanan wins it back for David, and Courtois kick saves it away. Nonetheless, the offside flag had gone up, and David once again begging with the referee, maybe whether or not that offside flag did go up. We already had one check so far in VAR, and Canada once again on the attack. Just once again, putting the pressure on Belgium, though. How about that? First game for Belgium in a while, and I think it kind of speaks to how Belgium's season has gone, especially early on. Of course, going into Euro 2020, went in with a 13-match unbeaten streak before they lost to Italy 2-1 in the quarterfinals. Then, since then, it's kind of been a mixed bag of sorts. 8 wins, but a lot of those wins coming in World Cup qualifying against teams like Estonia that don't have much regard at all for either World Cup and also in the Euro rankings. But also in that case, 5 losses in general, 3 draws. So Belgium, although still at the top, kind of with a mixed bag. And it's kind of noted too in sense of how this group's going to play out. We saw Morocco and Croatia tie 0-0. And I was thinking, we have these big groups going on. You have, say, um, like Group E. That was the case earlier today. Germany losing to Japan. Spain also there. Two perennial powerhouses in Europe playing there, and you got Japan kind of nuddling their big head trying to get a knockout spot. Also there, I mean, you look at this group too. Belgium, many people kind of touting as de facto number one, but still being challenged there early on. And you've got Canada, Croatia, and Morocco. In my opinion, 3 teams that could all get that number 2 spot. So each game does matter, and it's not going to be a cakewalk for this Belgian side that kind of hassled Tunisia and Panama last World Cup before beating out England in kind of a reserve matchup, as England also got dubs against those 2 teams back in 2018. Approaching 50 minutes here in Ahmad bin Ali Stadium, Al Rayyan, Qatar. There's a look at John Herdman, your coach for Canada. Spent a lot of time coaching at least in the women's ranks, 2006 to 2011. He took over the New Zealand women's national team, made the trip over to Canada from 2011 to 2018, took over the men's program in 2018 as Alistair Johnson plays it through for David. This could be dangerous, or pardon me, Jualet. Jualet now on the ball. Jualet still in the area, takes a shot, and it rolls wide. Junior Jualet, although playing kind of that winger position, as mentioned earlier, as the wingback, going forward, almost playing a second striker of sorts and letting Alphonso Davies kind of take that seat back. Davies was actually making a run into the box, calling for Jualet to pass it to him. Might have been an easy finish for him. Canada with majority of the chances so far in this one, nonetheless, still remains 0-0. Alderweireld plays out to Vertonghen as we go back to Alderweireld. Kind of the story of the game so far for Belgium, just trying to get their bearings as Canada use their attack, hopefully trying to get some goal early on. We've seen this a lot in this World Cup in sense that teams have kind of started off slow and have started to kind of get a rhythm as the game has gone on. Aiden Hazard plays it out there, and now it's out to Castagna on the right-hand side. He plays through, looking for his man there. Tielemans not going to get there as Miller clears it out for a Belgium throw-in. If I'm not mistaken, might be only the second Belgium throw-in of the day. So quite an interesting day for Belgium nonetheless. Here's Carrasco on the ball. Eden Hazard. Pressured there by Eustachio, has been doing a lot of work. This time Hazard will get the work there. It was actually Johnson there pressuring for Canada. Free kick now for Belgium. 17 minutes through here at Ahmad bin Ali Stadium. No goals so far. If you're just tuning in, Alphonso Davies did get his penalty saved there by Courtois a few moments back in the 10 minutes through, I believe. But nonetheless, Canada with most of the opportunities and chances so far in this one. Here's Castagna again. Back to Vertonghen. Vertonghen sees his options. Now goes for Tielemans. Centerman, but playing a little bit more on the right. Try to clip it through for Batshuayi. Is cleared away by Vittoria. And Tielemans will take the throw in once again as the ball goes back to Belgium territory. Here's Vertonghen. Now to Carrasco again on that left-hand side. Carrasco against Larea, an interesting battle there on the right. Larea listed on the left, and it looks like there might have been a change as Wallet has now decided to play that second striker role. Alfonso Davies, kind of matching his pace that we've seen with Bayern Munich as a left back, will play your left wing back. As here we see De Bruyne on the attack. Nonetheless, let me shut up for a while. He plays it through for Carrasco, and it's an easy collect there for Borjan. But as I was saying for Canada, you have David kind of playing there. You have Jualet kind of playing your second striker role. And in sense, you're going to have Davies now on the left-hand side, and in change, Richie Larea will be on the right. That is what it appears to be right now for Canada. As I mentioned, not a good appearance the last time and only time they were at a World Cup before this back in 1986 against Mexico, as they ended up losing all three of their games, ended up posting goose eggs in all of them. So a goal for any of them would be big in this situation. So Vertonghen plays it back to Alderweireld. As the Belgian backline continues to get some places back, Witsel decides to play back for the box. Nonetheless, it's out to Den Donker, out to Castagna. Wingbacks have decided to play back a lot, save for Carrasco going back. Endurance may be a factor later on this game for Belgium. Here's Witsel, now going to Eden Hazard. Circles out of it, surveys his options now, goes down, and with that, it's a free kick for Belgium. This time, Tejan Buchanan, the culprit there. Eden Hazard racking up the fouls. He's got the captain's armband. Of course, many people know him from his time at Chelsea and now with his time at Real Madrid, although that's been a little bit less over the years, knowing he has been injury ridden and hasn't gotten that scoring ability as he did with Chelsea from 2012 to 2019. Either way, possession kind of even so far, 43% for Belgium, 43 for Canada, 14% in dispute. So still a pretty good performance there from the Canadians going up against a Belgium side that I think Belgium in ways, and I've seen this before in previous World Cups, they've played down to their level at times and kind of taken it into their hands as the game has gone on. Tried to do it against Egypt, didn't work in their favor. But you think about their round of 16 game against Japan. That was a big game. Too, as Japan was up 2-0, Belgium decides to rattle off 3 goals late, in, I believe, in the last 35 minutes to win that one at the death. A big game, and it was actually a counterattack right at the death as Chadley put that one away. Chadley not in the squad in this year's World Cup. Johnston there pressuring on the ball. Was last touched off him as Vertonghen tried to clear it away. Goal kick now for Belgium. 21st minute, almost halfway through this first half, save for stoppage time, which has also been quite interesting this World Cup. Actually, before I came up here to the booth to do my DJ shift and then record some stuff, I was actually out at the First Amendment Forum at the Cronkite School where they were showing CNN. They had Patrick McEnroe on to talk about different things. They talked about the One Love armband. They talked about Germany's protest earlier today, where Germany covered their mouths. But they also mentioned stoppage time, which I think it's something. If you got CNN talking about stoppage time, you know something's up. You don't need to be a soccer expert to know that. And I think that's been an interesting point where we've seen the stoppage time, and I think they've been more lenient to actually kind of describe, we did have the stoppage on the field, therefore it will be stoppage time. But the fact that we have not seen that many like 3 minute stoppage time, 4 minutes, hell, Iran, England was 14 minutes of stoppage time to end out the first half. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, here's Carrasco. Ball still in the Belgian half. Draws a free kick. Larea there called for the foul. A lot of fouls here from Canada early on, making sure they're playing physical against this Belgian side. Ref has been quite decent in terms of giving those fouls. So far it's been a fair game, and so far it's been a peaceful game in terms of riling things up. Den Donker on the ball, surveys, now gets it back to his fellow center back in Vertonghen. Here's Vertonghen. Tottenham man playing it forward, looking for Hazard. Hazard able to get through here. He's got numbers going forward, edge of the box. Plays it through for Tielemans. Rough touch as he gets it off his back foot. It's now Batshuayi. His shot goes into the rafters there, or pardon me, the bleachers. And it was a last safe tackle there. Let's look at this. Crunching tackle by Canada. Otherwise, Batshuayi may have made this 1-0. Tielemans with a rough touch there. De Bruyne let it go. And Kamal Miller, boy, has he got the experience playing with Montreal. 29 caps for the Maple Leafs. And boy, has he shown it there. The 25-year-old with a key change and a key save for Canada. Otherwise, Belgium, with probably their most lethal opportunity of the day, might have made it 1-0. And with that, we have our first Belgian corner of the day, Kevin De Bruyne, to swing this one in. A lot of big heads in the box. Axel Witsel being one of them, as shown on the screen. De Bruyne sends it in, headed away there by Vitoria. And just like that, here comes Canada on the break, at least for now. Here's Ouellet to take it back. Ouellet clips it forward, looking for David and Buchanan in the area. Courtois will be in both of them and will just clear it back. Nonetheless, Canada controls it right here at midfield with Ouellet. Gets away from Batshuayi and Witsel. Throw-in goes to Belgium, interestingly enough. 24th minute, and overall, at least compared to the other games I've called here, even more than Qatar and Ecuador, a lot of chances and a lot of back and forth action. Boy, oh boy. If you're watching this or you're talking with friends, tell them grab some popcorn. This is going to be an interesting battle. Canada, like I said, has been on a resurgence over the past few years. 33 was their FIFA ranking back in February. That was the highest they have ever been in their history. Here's De Bruyne now going on the attack. He's got numbers to his left. Tielemans on the right decides to play it through for Hazard. Hazard in the area, bullied against Larea, goes end line, going up against Johnson, and Larea just passes it out. Did he get a deflection? Let's see. I think he did. Throw in for Belgium. Back to Vertonghen. Vertonghen. Den Donker. Back to Alderweireld. That was an interesting backline last year too. Vertonghen and Alderweireld were on that backline, and it's an experienced squad for Belgium too. That not too many people can talk about with Canada. Their most experienced member on this team, and overall for Canada, that is Atiba Hutchinson, 98 caps, 9 goals, playing for Besiktas. For Belgium, on the other side, most cap guy being Jan Vertonghen, 142 caps. Castagna got the last touch there, and the box goes out for a goal kick as it was headed away there by the Canadians. But as I was talking about Belgium, it was an interesting battle here when you look at who's playing on the pitch. Toby Alderweireld, 124 caps, 5 goals. And then even the other guy coming in, of course, you had De Bast, who was playing that third center back role against Egypt. Now, today you had Den Donker, listed as a midfielder. He's playing back today. 29 caps for him, and the Aston Villa man right now in his spot with some moves to go forward. But as I mentioned earlier, a lot of moves on that right-hand side, especially from Castagna. Here's Davies now on Canada's left-hand side going up against Castagna. Goes inside, clips it out for Ouellet. Davies now looking up. Hutchinson rips a shot, and it will go well wide of goal. Hutchinson there with a chance. As I mentioned earlier, most capped guy. This was about maybe 20 yards out, edge of the box, and it kind of just sliced off his foot there. Not much for Courtois, who was ready on his feet. Had to face a lot of Canadians so far. Kick save from a David shot earlier on and saved an Alphonso Davies penalty. Speaking of Alphonso Davies, how about these dribbles? One of the speediest guys in Bundesliga over the past few years, especially with Bayern Munich. Showing it there on the world's biggest stage, trying to make Canada proud, trying to give Canada something to smile about, especially knowing the fact that I think trying to get some more guys to the Canadian national team too. Similar to the US, kind of the case with Mexico. This is kind of a stepping stone game for them in sense that 2022 kind of sets the table, and then 2026 will be a big matchup for both sides as they do host. Canada's games will be hosted at Edmonton at the Commonwealth Stadium and in Toronto with BMO Field, as they will get an expansion from 28,000 close to about 45,000 for the 2026 World Cup. Foul there called on Canada. Witsel going down there. 28th minute, a little more than halfway through this first half. Still 0-0 between Belgium and Canada. Alderweireld with, again, another over-the-top ball. Headed down there by Miller. Getting on the ball there. It's good work there by Azard. Right to Batshuayi. Azard troubling there, but Eustachio and the Canadians able to clean up the mess. Davies on the left, dancing in the meantime, is actually going back, looking for any types of options, and he will go back to Miller, who goes back to Borjan. Borjan with a touch right in front of goal. He'll clip this out to the right side of the pitch for Canada and Alistair Johnston. Johnston plays it up. And here's Jualet. Jualet decides to clip it through, and this could be trouble for Canada. Here's Larea now in space. Larea goes end line. Larea plays this in. He had Buchanan and Jualet there, and it's knocked away by Alderweireld for Belgium. Again, great defense from Belgium, who, although has not had most of the possession and chances, have remained stagnant. Getting back on side there was Canada. David goes down, no foul call. Eustachio plays this through for Larea. His shot is blocked as it's cleared away there by Carrasco. All the way back to Borjan, who's about 30 yards off his line, and he'll just play it back. No Matt Turner syndrome there for Canada. Once again, back to Borjan. Trouble there with De Bruyne pressuring there in the box. Clipped out there for Johnston. Johnston plays for Buchanan. Here's Alistair Johnson, listed as a center back, nonetheless going forward in that area. He's got options on both sides. Decides to go to David. Goes down, no foul called. Back to Johnson in the box. His shot saved by Courtois. Boy, was that a rocket by Alistair Johnson. Still in the area. Now it's cleared away by Belgium right here in the 30th minute. There's Hutchinson. Just decides to play it back. Eustachio. Got an interesting caliber of Canadian fans on tap here in Qatar. Of course, much different than the weather up in Canada right now, for sure. It's definitely not the case in, say, like Toronto or Vancouver. Nonetheless, Buchanan tries to split the defense. He still goes with the ball until he lost it, as it's cleared away there by Alderweireld. Back to Canada, the ball goes. Boy, oh boy. I think ever since that possession tag came up, where they said Belgium and Canada were kind of neck and neck in terms of possession, it's been all Canada since. Rightfully so, too. Throwing now for Canada is actually going to be Kamal Miller to take this now. Davies might go over to do the honors, and indeed he will do so. 30 minutes through. So far for John Hertman's side, not so bad overall. And overall, I think in a group, like as I said, hotly contested, and although Canada being the best in CONCACAF, not getting much. Here's Buchanan now, chest it down in the box. Got a bunch of Belgian numbers. Nonetheless, David's shot deflected up there by Alderweireld, and it's caught there by Courtois. Taking a look at the projections, according to a lot of numbers, I believe this is by 538, Belgium has a 62% chance to make it out of their group. That is the least, according to 538, amongst teams rather that were listed in pot one going into this World Cup, except for Qatar, knowing that Qatar being the host and of course doesn't have that experience. Canada has a 37% chance to make it to the knockout. That is the lowest amongst the group states members. Morocco and Croatia are actually higher, kind of listed towards the 40s and 50s in that regard. 32nd minute, Alderweireld, another ball going out to Castagna, who plays it through for Batshuayi. Batshuayi in the area decides to cut inside, and Miller cuts it away from Michy Batshuayi. Former Chelsea guy, actually. Michy Batshuayi, I should say. Now playing with Fenerbahce. Bayern Munich man Alphonso Davies now plays it through, and Jualet lost the ball for a little while, wins the battle there against Azard, and here comes Canada the other way. Jualet whips this one into the box. David gets his head up to it, but can't steer it on frame. Goal kick for the Red Devils. Let's take a look at that. Another interesting shot there. Gives me a chance to take a swig of water. There we go. All right, back to the action. It's Batshuayi. Now to De Bruyne. De Bruyne with a lot of space open on that left-hand side. Clips it in with his left, looking for Castagna and Batshuayi. Batshuayi decides to take this first time, and it's not skewed in the best way as it goes right to Borjan. It's Looks down the ground, kind of in fury. His leg actually swung into Kamal Miller rather than the ball, which kind of caused that injury, or at least him to go to the ground. Let's see how bad this is. From reaction, it may not be that bad, but so far, pretty interesting game. Michy Batshuayi with most of the options, playing in for Romelu Lukaku, of course, the all-time leading goal scorer for Belgium, 68 goals in his 102 appearances. The Inter Milan guy out with an injury that will leave him out of this game, but also next game against Morocco. Throwing now for Canada on their right-hand side. 34th minute here. If you're just joining in, coming to you live from the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. Hope you guys are enjoying this one. Thanksgiving is coming up in the United States. Of course, Canada had their Thanksgiving a few weeks back. But nonetheless, great action there for the holiday season as it approaches closer. This one played by Alderweireld, back to Courtois, who's in goal, and once again boots us forward, looking high for De Bruyne and Hutchinson. The captain will win that battle for the Canadians. Still in the areas, it's for Tongan. Plays it forward, clipped there by Hazard, back to Batshuayi. Hazard still on the ball, kind of dancing his way through as he still goes forward. Hazard plays it through for Castagna. He makes an absolute great run. Right now, that's onside. Unfortunately, too much sauce on the ball causes Castagna to kind of slide for it. Can't keep it in play. Goal kick. But once again, I think it's important to note that pairing. Eden Hazard, although playing an A mid, and also the case for Yuri Telemans, playing a center mid, and also to note Axel Witsel, who's playing your defensive mid. Witsel, of course, kind of being kind of your puppet master in ways, kind of pulling the strings as your six, and he's very good with ball delivery, especially just getting passes out. He loves to keep that ball. I think I was watching a Dortmund game a few years back, and it was said that Witsel is one of those guys that if he misses a pass, he will be thinking about that missed pass in his sleep as a nightmare. That's the way he rolls, and that's the kind of culture that Belgium has kind of established over the years. Here's Canada once again on the attack. Once again, just lost there by Tielemans. Batshuayi goes down, no foul called. It actually might have been more of a tussle as the Canadian went down. Nonetheless, Boyan, right at his goal, clips it forward. Looking for David, once again, headed away by Witsel with another completed pass, this one through the air. It's Davies. Now to Eustachio. Eustachio. Now back to Vittoria. Stephen Vittoria with the opening goal against Japan, which was the case when they faced them, I believe, on Thursday. Canada ended up winning that one 2-1. And knowing how Japan did earlier that day, not a bad result. Lucas Cavallini had the game winner off the bench as Canada ended up getting that dub to end out their preparations for this. Nonetheless, back at the World Cup, here's Johnson sending this one in. Buchanan can't get his head to it as it's clipped away there by Vertonghen. Canada has played a little bit direct today, but all the crosses they have had have been kind of hit or miss, depending on how and when or where they have been placed. Carrasco now, the winger for Belgium, gets it out past David. Now it's back to Witsel. Ball still in the Belgium half. 37th minute here at Ahmad bin Ali Stadium. Goes out to Witsel. The left once again as we go back to Alderweireld. Alderweireld to Vertonghen. If you're just joining us, 0-0, but a lot of chances from both sides, most of which have been with Canada. Jonathan David with the chance on the ground with a shot kick save by Thibaut Courtois. And before that, Alphonso Davies getting his penalty shot saved there by Thibaut Courtois. Of course, the reigning goalkeeper of the World Cup back in 2018, rightfully showing that he's back to defend his title, as we've seen over these past few minutes. This one goes back to Stephen Vittoria, and once again, back to Kamal Miller. Center backs playing their own game right now as we see a check-in here by Eustachio. Out to David, once again out on the right. Here's Larea going up against Carrasco. Decides not to go with the overlapping Johnston as he kind of surveys his options. Back to Eustachio. Eustachio back to Johnston. Kind of playing their own private game for now. Now Hutchinson, the center mid. Back out to Johnston. Back to Hutchinson. No private game there as it's out to Larea. Larea now Goes end line against Witzel. Larea goes down. No foul called. Ball goes out. What's the verdict here? It will be a goal kick. Hutchinson is pleading his case to the ref in sense of how Larea went down. Canada has already gotten a penalty today, courtesy of a Carrasco handball. And indeed, Witzel did trip up Larea, so he could have something there, but it looked like it might have been inadvertent, not too intentional on the part of Witzel. Nonetheless, the VAR call that was seen earlier today was quite early on. Ref does not have his hand to his earpiece, so it looks like it might be a goal kick here for Belgium. No ruling yet, so there might be a look for VAR. And I think, yes, indeed, there will be now another VAR revision for a possible penalty kick. Of course, I think that's been changed too because refs used to kind of put their hand to their earpiece in deciding how that would be done. The ref still has not gone to any type of monitor to look at it. His first challenge was kind of quick, as now we see the ref kind of talking it over with Hutchinson. No review yet. I think this may just come up from the booth and they may tell him to say, you know what, it's either a penalty or not a penalty. Roberto Martinez's side not getting much so far. Revision, verdict, no goal, no penalty. Goal kick now for Belgium. Here's De Bruyne. Now to Alderweireld. Alderweireld on the ball, now to Vertonghen. On the left, now to Carrasco, back to Vertonghen. Left side has worked pretty well as Belgium has kind of used the wings over time. I actually was looking at an interesting article from The Athletic on how the World Cup has changed over time and how kind of the spaces have been used. And over time, especially in 2018, a lot of wing play overall as Davies kind of circles back on Hazard. Eustáquio plays it back out to Davies. Davies tries to find David in the area. It's cleared away there by Alderweireld. Once again, another throw on for Canada right here in the 40th minute. A lot of soccer still to be played, but if you're Canada with most of the momentum on your side, you probably have to decide when and where you're going to get those big moments. And especially getting most of the possession when Belgium goes into the half to reset, you have to get a goal now to get some sort of momentum. Otherwise, in my opinion, I think Belgium might have full control of this second half. Free kick now for Belgium. Speaking of the Red Devils, as Atiba Hutchinson called there for the foul. Free kick once again for this Belgian side. Alderweireld to take this free kick now, kind of in the center half of Belgium's side, kind of in the heart of their area. As here's Den Donker, back to the third center back, Jan Vertonghen. Alderweireld clips it forward. We've seen that a lot today in that first half as Castagna plays it to Batshuayi, who actually lets it go for Hazard. Hazard, Canadians bringing numbers back. They've got their 4 defenders and 3 midfielders back to defend as Castagna, in turn, decides to circle back. Den Donker. Belgium goes to flip the pitch here. Vertonghen, now to Witzel. Possession now is 54% in favor of Canada, only 46% in favor of Belgium. Here's a look at Den Donker. Den Donker on the ball. Now to Vertonghen. 42nd minute. Save for a few chances by Batshuayi. Not much from Belgium. Save for a few rifles here and there. Canada has come prepared, especially at this stage, playing at the World Spectacle. As it goes back to Borjan. He'll calm the pace down. Goal kick. Or pardon me, just to pick up there by Canada. Here's Hutchinson. Plays it back to his goalkeeper, who now spreads it outside for Miller, playing your left center back role. Canada kind of attracting pressure from Belgium. Nonetheless, Borjan clips it forward and back to Belgium territory where Den Donker sends it to Alderweireld, back to Vertonghen, kind of close to the left-hand side for the Red Devils. Tielemans now on the ball. Wrestled there in behind, going up against Eustáquio. Now to Witzel. Witzel, good pass out to Vertonghen. Talk about his passing accuracy and quality. That's one of your kind of mentions there. Alderweireld, Den Donker, back to Tielemans, back to Den Donker. Kind of big for Belgium so far in this one as Azard loses the ball, no foul called, as he's wrestled off there by Eustachio, whose ball is sent into the middle of nowhere. Buchanan gives chase going up against Dendonker, and it's the Red Devil to win that there. Courtois now back out to Vertonghen. Interesting action here from Ahmad Bin Ali Stadium. Still 0-0 between Belgium and Canada. 44th minute, 2 minutes plus stoppage time remain here in this first half. And for Canada, who has controlled most of this momentum, a chance to maybe take the lead and cash in on what, in my opinion, has been a great first half, save for the save penalty and some also safe shots. Thibaut Courtois, great goalkeeper, nothing you can change about it. This one, play forward. This could be dangerous. Here's Batshuayi in the clear, and it's in the net. Just like that, Belgium has momentum back, and it's Michy Batshuayi to make it 1-0 right here in the 44th minute. A beautiful ball and a beautiful finish for the number 9 coming through for Romelu Lukaku, who's on the bench right in front of the Canadian fans, and Belgium, just like that, is up 1-0. So save for a good half. Rough move there for Canada, and it was a good ball played through there by Alderweireld, and a beautiful shot. Nothing Milan Borjan could do there for Canada. 1-0 for Belgium. Just like that. Something you want to see out of a team that's number 2 and is going to the World Cup final in many of my bracket predictions. Showing their speed, showing their pace, and now I think that gives Belgium sort of momentum. And I think, in my opinion, that kind of changes the aspect of how this halftime is going to be for both teams. Belgium, in sense, now does have the momentum. They don't need to win it back. And for Canada now, they're in that hole. The question is, what can they do to get out of it? So Michy Batshuayi, 27th goal for Belgium in his 49th appearance. Be making appearance number 50 on Sunday as the team faces Morocco. Morocco getting a draw against Croatia earlier today. So anybody can go to the knockouts in that stage. We did see that. We did see some interesting scaffoldings earlier today in sense of Group E, in sense that Spain ended up getting the win over Costa Rica 7-0, and was the case earlier today in sense that Japan beat Germany. Big matchup on Sunday, Spain and Germany facing off there. I will have a react right here on YouTube for that game. Germany needs to get at least a point to keep their World Cup hopes alive. Otherwise, they will be heading out after facing Costa Rica later in this World Cup. 45 minutes through as we're now into stoppage time. As I talked about earlier, we've seen a lot of stoppage time so far. As here's De Bruyne playing for Azard. Could be dangerous as the ball played through for Batshuayi rolls right to Borjan. Alistair Johnston, once again, on the right-hand side, looks for his options, trying to survey his options in that regard. Plays to Eustachio. Nifty move there, just trying to get by. And here's Alphonso Davies on the left. Decides to play it a little bit slow, not going too fast at all. Nonetheless, it's played through for David. David tries to find Wallet, but it's cleared away in the nick of time by Belgium. Throwing now for Canada, trying to get an equalizer here. And boy, oh boy, I don't think they have mentioned anything about momentum at all. It is still up for grabs. It is not fully in Belgium's hands. I think, in sense, when you look at that game too, and how this is played out, you have to give a sense that the fact they're playing Croatia, runner-up in last year, or not last year, 2018's World Cup, and you're facing Morocco, always a perennial African powerhouse. It's always interesting to see how these two teams have played. And the fact that Canada's bringing to them, pretty awesome. Here's Larea, sends it into Buchanan, and his shot off his left peg will sail well wide of goal. It had a lot of pace on it, and had it been on target, it might have been Canada's first ever goal at the World Cup. Tajon Buchanan, the former New England Revolution, with a perfect chance, save for the finish. 2 minutes, 15 seconds through here from Ahmad Bin Ali Stadium, day before Thanksgiving, right here in the United States. No game tomorrow, but should be some interesting ones. Brazil facing Serbia being one of them. Cristiano Ronaldo and Portugal facing off against Ghana being another interesting matchup. So those are some interesting matchups to keep an eye on tomorrow on your Thanksgiving Day if you want to have some turkey and football. That is soccer football, not American football. Go ahead. I'm not stopping you. Nobody's stopping you, hopefully. Yeah. And if you were wondering, the next react will be England against US on Friday. Yes, the It's Called Soccer matchup should be a great one. US may need some points to keep their hopes alive, as this one played by De Bruyne couldn't find Hazard there on the break. David once again out to Lorel out on the left. This one poked away by Carrasco. Nonetheless, concedes a corner for Belgium. Another opportunity for Canada to get something on the board. But as I mentioned, England versus US will be the next reaction vid. Unfortunately, Cronkite will be closed, so we will be back in the echo chambers of the study room up at Taylor Place to call that game. And then over the weekend, we'll be doing Argentina, Mexico, and Spain, Germany. Stick around, I might be doing double headers on Saturday and Sunday right here from Cronkite. Nonetheless, corner kick for Canada. This one swung in by Davies. The header was a glancing one. Eustachio had a vicious shot, but it was blocked away by Belgium. Still in the area. Once again, back out to Alfonso Davies. Davies up against Carrasco, using his nifty work, almost crossed up Carrasco, and just since his poke gives it right back to Hazard. About a minute left to go here in stoppage time. Belgium looking for goal number 2, as here's De Bruyne. Taking it forward, Canada quickly brings their numbers back as Johnston picks it off. Nonetheless, the Red Devils have it back as De Bruyne plays it through, and Johnston clears it away right back to the defense. Throwing now for Canada. Let's take a look at that Eustachio shot. And it was an interesting save there by Tielemans. Once again, it could have been a handball. You think about it. We did have one penalty, but had the refs been a little more lenient towards Canada, we could have 3 penalty kicks for the Canadians in this first half. Quite insane if you think about it, in my opinion. This one taken by Hutchinson as we approach 5 minutes in the stoppage time. And with that, the ref's whistle has blown. Halftime here at Ahmad Bin Ali Stadium. It is 1-0 in favor of Belgium. Michy Batshuayi with the goal just a minute before stoppage time started, especially after Canada kept up the momentum. Can Canada keep that momentum, or will we see Belgium hold on to the win and start off their campaign with 3 points? We have halftime starting up, and then after that, we'll have the second half. It's going down right here on the reaction vids only on YouTube. Back here at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, where it is currently Belgium up 1-0 over Canada in this 2022 World Cup. Of course, I'm Hirson Hassan. Thanks for joining me today on this Wednesday afternoon, as it's now afternoon right here in Phoenix. As I mentioned, a lot of reacts coming up as the World Cup goes along. And let's take a look at the big one, which I'll be covering on Friday. England versus the US. I don't care who you are, what you do. It's Black Friday, and I want everybody to watch the match. I want everybody to watch the match because it's going to be that big of a game. And hey, if you want to, come tune in. Honestly, I mean, I love doing this for you guys, honestly. I really do. But England versus the US, boy, is that going to be a big game on Friday. Taking a look at both squads, as I mentioned, England had a wallop 6-2 win over Iran. US with a 1-all draw against Wales. Actually, when you look at the tail of the tape between these two, at least in the World Cup, this is the third World Cup these two have met. And believe it or not, the US is unbeaten in it. Their first matchup was 1950 when they played in Belo Horizonte, Brazil. England lost that day 1-0 to the United States. They were absolute underdogs before the United States went and won. Kind of what we've seen so far in this World Cup, but still pretty good. Pretty good in my opinion. And then, of course, they met up again in 2010. 2010, it was the opening match of that World Cup, at least between those two sides. US won that 1-all, and the famous New Yorker headline the next day was US win. It's the best 1-all draw. It was literally the headline was US win 1-all. It's the best tie against England since Bunker Hill. That was literally the headline back in 2010. So I don't know. Maybe we get another Bunker Hill on our hands. Maybe it's a revolution, but the English end up winning it. Or who knows? Maybe the U.S. come back after being down and take the victory. Who knows? This is the World Cup. It's amazing. It's awesome. And there's a lot of stuff going on. Belgium Canada is still at halftime if you're just tuning in. Not too much action in terms of yellow cards, only one going to Yannick Carrasco, which was for a handball that led to a Canadian penalty that was saved by Thibaut Courtois. Alfonso Davies took the penalty for Canada. A lot of stuff going on. Of course, now the feed for Telemundo is back about 2 minutes before half. Romelu Lukaku on the bench for that one, and Thibaut Courtois, once again, the Real Madrid man, showing up in big ways so far for this Belgian side. So, like I said, let's take a look at what else is happening. As I mentioned, Thanksgiving tomorrow, pretty good. You got Brazil against Serbia. That's your 12 o'clock matchup. Then also looking there, you got Cristiano Ronaldo in Portugal, 9 o'clock facing off against Ghana. So if you got time, if you want to make your turkey, go ahead. Nobody's stopping you. But as I said, a big, big slate ahead. Yeah. Interestingly enough, let's actually take a look at some of the stats we have seen so far in this game. Belgium, in the first half, had 2 shots. One of those was on goal. It was the one that Batshuayi converted. Canada, on the other side, 11 shots. 11. 2 of those were on goal. 2 of those being the penalty and Jonathan David's shot. Pretty kind of it's been other than Batshuayi's goal, which I mean, it kind of does a disservice to how things have worked out for Canada, at least, and how everything has gone up here. But if I was to look back at it, it's a pretty good half for Canada. If they can keep up and do what they got to do, I think they can go in and pull this. Change made for Belgium as Yannick Carrasco and Tielemans. Yuri Tielemans are both off. Of course, Carrasco with the yellow card, so it kind of makes a little sense. In sense, you're going to have Amadou Onana and Thomas Meunier check in. Meunier, of course, another stalwart, 59 caps for him. 8 of those when he was at Dortmund. And then Amadou Onana, another young guy, only making his 3rd appearance for the national squad and making his appearance too. Has no goals, played for Everton, and he's currently 21. So again, another young guy that Roberto Martinez has kind of put in, although not having much experience. Which, as I mentioned, that's something Belgium has been really good at, especially in this golden age of theirs. Pretty good overall. Back underway here at Ahmad Bin Ali Stadium. It's Belgium now going right to left, and Canada going from left to right. So Mounier checking in. Looks like now with that, you're going to have Castagna playing your left wing back, and Thomas Meunier, who plays right wing back for Dortmund, will go to his regular position, playing right wing back. Free kick now for Belgium, as it goes there to Witsel. Witsel and Eustachio with a little bit of a toss-up there. No tussle, no punches thrown, nothing. Back to Belgium, as it's now Alderweireld and Den Donker. Back to Alderweireld, and now out to Vertonghen. Tongan, it's nice check-in by Hazard. Hazard on the ball, just harassed there in the middle by Buchanan and Johnston. Alistair Johnston with a great first half too. Able to track back, but also able to get forward too in that regards and play some balls in. You got Johnston and Larea, both of whom play that right back, right wing back spot with their respective sides. Larea with Toronto FC and Johnston with CF Montreal. Overall, pretty good job. So here's Thibaut Courtois on the other side. Milan Borjan is your netminder for Canada, making his 69th cap of the year for him. Of course, getting his big break at Red Star Belgrade. There's Mounier. Mounier there wearing the mask there. Might have a nose problem potentially, which caused him to do so. Nonetheless, Batshuayi tried playing it off towards Onana, but nonetheless, Canada wins it back for the meantime. And in turn, free kick is given. Atiba Hutchinson there calling for the foul. About 2 minutes through, Canada down 1-0. As I mentioned, in their 1986 appearance, they did not get a single goal and not a single point in that regards. As I also mentioned too, Canada with a pretty good job overall, 28 points in CONCACAF, actually topping Mexico and the United States in that regard. First time that a team not named Mexico or the United States topped CONCACAF World Cup qualifying since Costa Rica did it back in 2002. Interestingly enough, that was also the last time the topper for CONCACAF World Cup qualifying failed to make it to the knockouts. You pick your poison. Nonetheless, Buchanan plays this up, going up against Castagna. Still going with Buchanan, who's in an absolute tussle there. As Castagna, one of those big guys, plays with Leicester in the Premier League. Eustachio whips this one in. The header goes wide, and Jonathan David there had a chance to make it a 1-1 game. Can't direct that one on net. That's kind of been the story of the game for Canada. Good chances, but unable to create those golden chances and really trouble Thibaut Courtois that much. It's a good touch, too, by Eustachio. Eustachio has kind of shared some set-piecing roles, did that in the Gold Cup last year and 3 years ago. Unable to at least provide an assist. Overall, some pretty good balls in, though, from Canada. Let's not lie to ourselves, folks. That was a pretty good ball in. Now the refs are talking something over. I think just trying to settle some things down. Nonetheless, Castagna ready to take the throw in here. This one clipped up forward as it goes right here for Hazard. Numbers coming forward for Belgium. Numbers kind of staying the same for Canada. They've held a pretty interesting line, save for the one time Batshuayi got through and converted into the back of the net. Speaking of Batshuayi, here he is on the ball as he sends it back to Vertonghen. Alderweireld now to Den Donker. 1-0. Score stands here at Ahmad Bin Ali Stadium. Second group stage game this stadium will host. Many games coming up in the table, but of course unable to do so. This one checked in by David. A good turn there. It's out to Eustachio. Back to Alphonso Davies. Davies now cuts inside in a little bit of trouble. Now to Eustachio. Plays it on the side. Eustachio's shot will trickle wide. And that's the thing too, is that Canada's had those shots. It's just haven't been that potent. Now Johnson had a laser earlier in the game, and then after that laser, it ended up just going out. But overall, not bad. Not bad overall from the Canadians. Jonathan David there with some nifty turns. Something you want to see out of, especially your star player. 22 goals and 35 caps. Plays for Lille. Of course, another guy plays for Lille, Tim Weah, who scored for the United States on Monday against Wales. John Herdman barks his efforts from the sideline as back out to Junior Hualet going up against Dendonker. Hualet now into the box, spins a little bit. Now track out a little bit as well. This one played through. He's trying to find Davies, but it's cut away there. Nonetheless, Belgium tried for the counterattack, and Vittoria will send this all the way back to Belgium territory for a throw in deep in the defensive third. 16 clearances today for Canada. That's crazy. 51 minutes through as we approach the 52nd minute of play here at Ahmad Bin Ali Stadium. Belgium still up 1-0. Of course, an interesting matchup ahead as they face off against Croatia, team that ended up getting second, as Courtois just had to get rid of it there. David right there on the end line. Dendonker, I think in turn also has to be wary of the pressure. Now it's out to Meunier and now to Witsel. Witsel goes back to Courtois. Castagna, another good pass. There's some good diagonal passing too from Belgium. Just find that open space, along with that over-the-top play that we saw, especially from Toby Alderweireld in that first half. It's now De Bruyne. Witsel. Amadou. Once again, back to the center backs we go. It's Alderweireld trying to direct traffic. Goes back out to Vertonghen. Vertonghen to Hazard. Hazard being pressured there in the middle. It's been challenged a lot today. Picked up a few fouls, especially early on, but nonetheless, not much when you look at the grand scheme of things. Hazard now plays it in for De Bruyne. De Bruyne finds Onana. Onana clips it in. Could have decided to take a long ranger, but it's too far either way for either a shot or trying to find Batshuayi there in the middle. 53rd minute. Things starting to calm down here a little bit in sense. Nonetheless, Roberto Martinez continues to bark out orders for Belgium. As I mentioned earlier, this is an interesting World Cup for Belgium in the sense that we've been talking about this golden age of the team for so long, especially in 2014 when they made that run to the quarterfinals, 2018 where they get third place. They spent 3.5 years atop the FIFA rankings. They go into this World Cup tied for fourth in terms of their age average, 27.8 years in total. Canada's kind of in the middle of the pack, 26.9. So in a sense, this could be the last chance, especially for some of these guys, especially I'm looking at that back row for Belgium. You know, Alderweireld's 33, Vertonghen is 35, Meunier 31. For a lot of these guys, this may be it in terms of getting a chance to hoist the World Cup. And then a lot of these guys may even be old too. You look at guys like Lukaku, he'd be 33. Hazard would be 35. That is Eden Hazard. Torgan Hazard would be 33. Overall, it's a lot of guys getting some experience, but not too much overall. Nonetheless, free kick now to Canada here in the 54th minute. Eustachio to take it. As here's Eustachio. Lines it up, and the pip is too far for everybody. Vittoria on the back post was probably the closest, and he didn't even make a run for it. Goal kick. Back to Belgium. 55th minute of play. Kind of what we've seen. Canadian fans still kind of waiting in wonder and also a little anticipation, trying to get something going. And overall, like when I was thinking about this game, I thought about it from two perspectives. In the sense that, sure, Canada has this ranking, but they're an inexperienced squad, especially playing against UEFA teams and in this regards. But overall, 1-0 against a Belgium side that's pretty good. Not bad, in my opinion. So, nonetheless, here's Alfonso Davies taking the corner right in front of the Canadian fans who are around that circle. It's short here for David, as Davies can't get a touch on that. De Bruyne just has to clear it away, sends it to the opposite side of the pitch where the nearest guy there is John Herdman, who just sends it back to Alistair Johnston for a throw in. There's Johnston still on the ball. Waits for Buchanan. A nifty pip there by Buchanan. Area is there. His cross, a little wonky there as it went out of play. And once again, it's another Belgium goal kick. I sound like a broken record. Canada, in sense, have had all these opportunities. It's just that Belgium's defense has been really good, in sense of just slowing them down, or some of it's just Canada not making the most of it. But either way, Canadians continue to knock on the door looking for goal number one of this World Cup, goal number one of their World Cup period. Eustachio goes down, and Onana was called there for the foul, and now he's going into the book with a yellow card. Second yellow card of the day after Onana went down. Got into a little tussle there with some of the Canadian players, including Eustachio. That kind of caused a little ruckus there in the middle. So once again, we see Davies listed as a forward on the sheet. Of course, in his club days, he plays a left back, playing more of a left wing back today. Davies, nonetheless, can finish it off there. So he was going up, I believe, against Onana. And here's Witsel. Once again, Belgium with open space to attack as Hazard plays it through. He's looking, I believe that was for Castagna. Yeah, that was Castagna, the left wing back, making a run. Nonetheless, here's Witsel going the other way for Castagna. It's deflected off Larea. And actually, it will be a throw in for Canada, believe it or not. So it looks like Belgium did get the last touch there, surprisingly. Interestingly enough, in my opinion. Either way, Johnston with a throw in. With that, another ref's whistle. And with that, we'll see our first change of the day for Canada. Junior Wallet will head off. Kyle Larin will head on. And Kyle Larin is probably the man a lot of Canadians would like to see. Of course, he's kind of been a journeyman since leaving Orlando City SC and MLS, now playing in Belgium with Club Brugge. 55 caps, 25 goals in his name, leading goal scorer for Canada. Atiba Hutchinson, the captain, will also head off. And also coming in will be Ismail Kone, who had a pretty great year for Montreal. Ismail Kone, 6 appearances, only 1 goal. He's making his 7th tonight at Ahmad Bin Ali Stadium. Another MLS guy coming on. A lot of these guys with MLS experience, too, to note. Nonetheless, back out here, it's Mounier. Flips it over to Vertonghen. 59th minute of play, still remains 1-0 between Belgium and Canada. A little hassle there, I believe, might have been Davies, and yes, it was. And he will be called for the foul there for Tongan, the one being hassled there. Here's Mounier again. Kind of working inside. Witsel lost his touch there. It's a good recovery there, I believe, by Kone. Or by Davies, rather. Davies has been all over the pitch. He's actually been more central now. As here's David, Jonathan David, the striker, out on the left-hand side. He's cutting inside. Tried playing through for Davies. It's not going to work. Still up in the air, and now the possession will go back to Belgium. Cleared away there by Vertonghen. Here's Kone again. He'll be playing a little bit more back, interestingly enough, compared to Hutchinson. So kind of a like-for-like change, not really attacking as Buchanan goes down, and it's a free kick for Canada. This could be dangerous for the Maple Leafs, as this is about 30-35 yards away from goal. Interesting point, and you've got Eustachio on the field, who has a killer right-hand swinger, and I think he would probably be the one to take this one in. I would guess maybe Belgium has 1 or 2. There'll be one in the wall. That being, I believe, Michy Batshuayi. So here we go. Stefan Eustachio on the ball. Canadian fans right behind them, trying to pester Thibaut Courtois, the Belgian goalkeeper. Nonetheless, ball's at the feet of Stefan Eustachio upon the ref's whistle. Here we go. 60 minutes through. Here we see Eustachio whip this one into the back post a little too far for Johnston. Gives a thumbs up. Could have gotten ahead to it. Not going to work in the meantime. Change coming maybe for Belgium's Roberto Martinez is talking there with one of his substitutes. So once again, it turns into a tactical game for Belgium in the sense that they haven't had majority of the momentum. So subs actually kind of work in their favor here in the sense that it just kind of calms them down. Maybe they can get that insurance goal if needed. Nifty work there by Hazard. Ball somehow stayed in play, but nonetheless, Eden Hazard just surveys his options now. Decides to pass back for Witsel. Witsel now going back to Alderweireld. Toby Alderweireld out to De Bruyne. On the ball again, Onana, Amadou Onana of Everton. One of the new guys coming in fresh off the substitute bench. For Tongan again. That one's still in place. Deflected off Davies, but it was headed away by Vertonghen. Throw it now for Canada. It's almost seemed like I'm a broken record here. Canada's getting all these opportunities. I was actually looking at half on like what expected goals were in Canada. It was all the way up at 2.16. Yes, 2.16. That's how high it was. Absolutely insane to think about when you look at how this has gone. Belgium on the other side, 0.52. Speaking of Belgium, we have another change coming up, and I believe it is the captain, Eden Hazard, headed out, and headed back in will be Leandro Trossard, another great Premier League player. Trossard being one of the strikers for Brighton and Hove Albion. 21 caps, 5 goals at the Belgian national level. It's a nifty tackle as Canada continues to pester. Man went down nonetheless. Larea plays this across for Buchanan, who will sky this well into the bleachers. Buchanan has had a lot of touches, but all of them have been skied up, almost like he was sending it towards the moon. 63rd minute. It's hard to see the foul, but either way. Rough touch for Buchanan. Goal kick now for Courtois. And with that, Thibaut Courtois sends everybody forward. Clipping this forward as well back into Canadian territory. Goes out for a Maple Leaf throw-in. The True North strong and free is down 1-0, but they have had majority of the chances and have majority of the momentum right now. Can they make the most of it, or will Belgium hold on for a win to start off their 2022 campaign? Nonetheless, here's Belgium again. Batshuayi out on the ball. Pressure there by Eustachio. And also doing some work there. I forget who it was. Maybe Vittoria, I would say. Either way, throw in for Belgium now. This one clipped in for Trossard. Trossard wearing the number 17. Commonly worn by Kevin De Bruyne, who's wearing number 7. Of course, De Bruyne wears number 17 for Manchester City, so it will be important to note, at least for me and for many of you guys watching at home, the fact that number 17 will be Trossard rather than Kevin De Bruyne. It was Mounier on the ball, too. Mounier playing that right-hand side, just clipped it in, and it was off of Vittoria for a Belgium corner kick. Once again, a lot of heavy heads in the box, including Amadou Onana, who just checked in. This one swung in by De Bruyne, going to the back post. Den Donker can't get ahead to it. Buchanan strangled there from the back. And with that, it will be a Canadian free kick. 65th minute. 25 minutes plus stoppage time remaining in this one as Canada looks to try to get a point. Interesting group, as I mentioned before. You've got Morocco and Croatia. Those two teams tied earlier today. It was an early morning matchup, 3 a.m. right here in Phoenix. Goal kick as it's sent back by Borjan. Now it's out to Onana again, using the open space, decided to take his man on, still with the ball, and he lost it there with Miller. The rough tackle there was pitted in, I believe, by Kone. And with that, Canada has the ball back. Buchanan, who has now found a home on that left-hand side, decided to take it up. Now it's out with Vittoria kind of in the center. That's another change too. Buchanan was playing on the right, now playing on the left. He's kind of ambidextrous in both ways, but more commonly playing out on the right. Nonetheless, chance for Canada. Here's Laren now, right on the end line as a Belgian fell down. It's still played through as it's Davies, right to Buchanan, now to Eustachio. Edge of the box, Eustachio, what can he do? Gives it back to Davies, who can't give it back to Eustachio. Ball back with Belgium, and here comes De Bruyne and crew on the counterattack. Crunching tackle there by Miller. Otherwise, Batshuayi might have been in the clear. Back with Canada. Davies now kind of playing a center midfielder role. Your jack of all trades here on this Wednesday night in Qatar. Buchanan, back out to Davies. Davies now out to Johnston. Now to Larea. His shot, it was a rifle too, but it was wide of goal. Let's take a look at that, yeah. But again, it just sliced off the foot. I mean, Canada's kind of put a lot of shots like that in the sense that they've tried, but it kind of goes back to the basics. You got to make sure your knee is right in line with the ball. Make sure you kind of lean your body. Make sure it can kind of go into the corner. For Larea, would have been at the left corner shooting with his right. But yeah, another slice by Canada. It's quite interesting in that regards. Here's De Bruyne. Nonetheless, here comes Belgium the other way. It's a 4-on-3. De Bruyne plays through for Batshuayi. His shot is blocked, and it's another great tackle there. Boy, oh boy, Canada going out with all-out defense to make sure this is still a 1-0 game. Let's take a look at this, too. It's become a more open game, and De Bruyne now on the right-hand side played it through for Batshuayi. Coming through with the tackle there, Richie Larea coming in from his right wing-back spot. Otherwise, Batshuayi might have got goal number 2 for him and for his country on that shot right there. Corner kick for Belgium. De Bruyne sends us in. Nobody can get his head to it as Eustachio heads it out. And here's David. He slips on the ground. It's back with Belgium and Trossard. Trossard sends it back out to Witsel, who's on the wing. Back with Batshuayi. Onana. Mounier going forward from his right wing spot. Now here's Trossard again. Trossard goes to his left. Castagna going forward. Now heads going forward. Here's Batshuayi. Finds an opening. Cuts it through. And he tried to slalom it through probably 4 Canadian defenders there. And on the last nip, the 4th one got him. Played that by Courtois. Back to Vertonghen. Witsel now playing on the left. Center mids have kind of been using the open space, not really kind of formidable in terms of their lines. They've been very ambiguous in that regards. 69th minute of play between Belgium and Canada. This one's sent forward by Courtois, right to Canada and Johnston, who just heads it back. Back to Witsel. Witsel, now to Trossard. Now back to Witsel. And De Bruyne there getting a touch in between. Belgium might utilize some triangles too, but either way, they've seen the open space. Canada has been playing much more loose than what we have seen. And now the fact that Belgium has taken more possession, we're now starting to see what Canada is like without it. Here's De Bruyne trying to play through for Batshuayi, picked up there by Borjan. As we now approach the 69th minute, about 21 minutes plus stoppage time. Of course, we don't know. Stoppage time could be about maybe like 10 minutes, like half of what we've seen of 21, knowing how stoppage time has been played at this World Cup. But either way, Belgium and Canada, still a close battle. And I think, too, it's even considerable on the fact that goal differential could play a role in this. Say, take, for example, Canada. They're facing a Croatia side that, although quite old, still pretty good. And they've got Luka Modric, Ballon d'Or winner in 2018, named best player in the tournament in 2018. Of course, Croatia could come in to upset Canada. I'm not predicting anything or not, but it does say something too. Nonetheless, here's Belgium. Yannick Carrasco tried to find De Bruyne on the run, and there was some miscommunication there. Another close chance for Belgium as it's back out with Canada. Laren tried getting it forward. It's knocked away there by Den Donker. Canadian throw-in coming up. 20 minutes plus stoppage time remain. Still in Belgium territory, now with Eustachio. Here's Canada again. This one going out to Kone. Little mishap there and making a dashing run, I believe. I don't know who it was. It might have been Trossard. Yes, it was. Nonetheless, Canada plays it through as it's cleared away there by Belgium and Vertonghen. Throw in now for Canada. As here's Davies again. Davies on the ball. Can't find Johnston. And with that, De Bruyne goes forward. He leaves Johnston in the dust. Trying to find Batshuayi, who clips it into the box. Batshuayi will hold on to it. A rough touch by him as it trickles out to the right end line, or right touch line, rather. Throw in for Canada. But look at that, though. That's a rough touch. Decides to go off of the shin of Batshuayi rather than his right boot itself. Otherwise, might have seen goal number 2 of the day. Overall, Batshuayi is the number 9. Not a bad pick overall, especially after some of the work he has put in over the years. Actually, he's done quite a lot with, especially Nations League, Poland and Wales being in Belgium's group. And also, I think in Belgium's group with Nations League, I think is Netherlands too. So it's quite an interesting group there. Belgium, I think, lost to Netherlands actually like 4-1, 5-1 earlier this year, but they're able to right the ship, able to get some valuable time, and also able to qualify for the World Cup quite handily as well. Back with Canada now. It's Miller and Davies himself. Back to Davies on the ball, playing a little more central. Now just has to give it back to Victoria. Canada getting a little creative, nonetheless unable to break the goal. It could change here. This one headed away. Good work there by Alderweireld as David was lurking there in the middle. Back with Victoria. Eustachio back to Victoria. And another interesting ball played there. Johnston can't get to it as Castagna picks it up. As here's Trossard on the ball. Trossard, now to De Bruyne, out of Batshuayi. About 25 yards out towards the right side of goal. Plays it in for Trossard. Trossard cuts back, thought about the shot, but then decided to hold on to it. Slide tackled there by Victoria, or Johnston rather, to clear it away. Here's Buchanan for Canada. Eustachio plays it forward, a little too forward as Larea, although jogging, can't get there. Courtois sees it out for another one of his goal kicks. One of his specialties we have seen a lot today. Let's take a look at this again with Batshuayi. Interesting tackle there by Larea. How about that too? Batshuayi already lining up, getting his right foot up to shoot it. Got actually a shot off, I should say. And then Larea able to get it. Another change made for Canada. Speaking of Larea, he will head off. And now in the game, another guy who's gotten a lot of experience, Sam Adekugbe, playing out for Hatayspor. Hatayspor. The Hatayspor man has 34 caps, 1 goal for Canada. As there's Vertonghen playing forward. And with that, once again, we're back outside. Adekugbe, he'll slide in that left back spot, just kind of at the time occupied by Larea, at least on the right side, and then Davies kind of slid in there to the middle. So you've got Jonathan David, you've got Kyle Laren, who's kind of playing a little high. You've got Alphonso Davies kind of playing almost as if he was like a center midfielder to some extent, although he's been playing a little high up as well. This ball played through, looking for Batshuayi, but he can't get there. Onana there trying to find the man himself. Michy Batshuayi right now, his goal is all the difference, as was the case in the 44th, 45th minute. Was able to get a ball over the top by Alderweireld, able to control it, and then slice it right into the net to make it a 1-0 game and kind of stop Canada's momentum, as we have seen over this time. Back to base here with Borjan. Now to Johnston on the right. Little 1-2 there with Laren. Johnston, once again, not the best switch as he sends it over to Mounier. And now it's back towards goal with Den Donker. It's Mounier again on the right-hand side. Clips it forward. A little too forward there, trying to find Onana. As here's Kone on the defense. Johnston again. This time going 1-2 with Tejan Buchanan. Buchanan now on the right. Could be something for Canada. Buchanan scores it out for Laren. Had the ball at his feet and it cleared away at the last second by Belgium. Boy, oh boy, has the defense come up big for the Red Devils. Here's Eustachio. Now to Miller. Adekugbe again. Eustachio now back out to Kone. Kind of playing on the right side. Kind of going back and forth between a midfield position and right back. Now he's kind of playing that right back position. Slipped for a while but got up. And with that, he plays it back to base. 14 minutes plus stoppage time remaining as Canada looks to get their first ever World Cup goal, first ever World Cup points, too. As here's Miller. Now coming back, it's Eustachio. Victoria. Might see him on a set piece as he scored against there. It is interesting to note, too, Lucas Cavallini scored against Japan at the death. Not much from him, as we've seen him on the bench so far. It will be interesting to see whether John Herdman will bring him in. Nonetheless, this one's clipped up towards Laren. Interesting move there going to David. His shot is blocked right into a flurry of Red Devils. Buchanan again. Readies, crosses it in, and once again it's cleared. Readies, crosses, clears. Readies, crosses, clears. That's how this game's been going for Canada. Eustachio. Now to Victoria. Canada has slowly changed their aspect. Eustachio playing farther back to allow bodies to go forward. As this one's now clipped out on the left. Looking for Adekugbe. Mounier clears it out for a Canada throw-in. And with that, we have another Belgian change coming up. This will be their fourth of the day, and rightfully so. It will be a big goal for Belgium and probably a big applause for Michy Batshuayi, who picked up his 27th goal for the Red Devils in his 49th appearance. Right now, that is all the difference in what makes Belgium up 1-0 and on their way to 3 points. That is as of now. Belgium has struggled to get goals overall. Canada has struggled in sense from time to time. And coming in, Lois Openda. Of course, another guy who's bringing in a lot of young experience. We've seen this a lot from Roberto Martinez. He brought in Onana to come in. He's brought in Trossard. Mounier's got some experience here and there, but some of these guys that haven't gotten that much experience compared to others, or just not that much experience in general. For Openda, this is only his 6th appearance, as the lone man has scored 2 goals and actually had a goal against Egypt on Friday in their final warm-up game. So he could potentially kind of put the icer to this one and send Canada home, or at least back to their hotel without any points. Buchanan tasseled there, and it's a little rough challenge. Pressure with not Trossard. It's Castagna there in the middle. Again, left wingback's getting pretty high up. Although Castagna listed as defender, so a lot of ambiguity in this lineup. Belgium now controlling possession 52-48%, as that one once again is cleared away. Here's Miller. Now to Kone again. Kone on the ball. Back to Adekugbe. As it once again goes back to Eustachio. Alistair Johnson whips it in the box. Header! Saved by Courtois. And it was Kyle Laren leaping up, trying to get it. A beautiful ball sent in by Johnson. How about this? Laren with the header and Courtois with the great save. Nothing more you can say about that. Yeah, trying to go for the back corner too. I just realized that. Here's Trossard now on the ball. Tries to break through, get it through for Openda. Nonetheless, Canada keeps control of it. Ball goes out. Throw in for the Canadians. Of course, a lot of success stories with this Canadian side, starting off with probably their young player of this tournament, Alphonso Davies, as we see some changes coming in. Tejon Buchanan is out, and now checking in will be Liam Miller, the Toronto FC man. Toronto FC man for a while, I should say, now playing with Basel. 16 appearances for him. Jonathan Osorio is also in the game now. Here's Laren, now to Davies. As I mentioned, a success story for him. He was actually born to Liberian parents in Ghana, a refugee camp in Ghana. When he was 5 years old, his parents decided to make the trip over to Canada, especially with civil war breaking out in their home country. And afterwards, he started to he started to get used to the English language. Of course, didn't know anything, didn't speak any English, but overall decided to kind of make his life there. At least his parents decided, you know what, let's start a new life in Canada. As he moved to Edmonton in 2005, joined the Vancouver Whitecaps residency over there at the age of 14. And by the time he was 16, I mean, I remember when he was in USL and people were talking about him saying, this guy is the next big thing. And then when he was with the Whitecaps too, again, like an 18-year-old making a lot of big plays for a team like the Vancouver Whitecaps. The way he has shown up and presented himself, especially even with doubt too, with both on the pitch and then off the pitch too, in his personal life and history, it just shows like what this tournament's all about. You know, you have this life, but hey, you're here. You're here at this big stage, at the world spectacle for everybody in the world to see you play. And I think it shows, like, especially for refugees, anything is possible in this world. And I think Davies has definitely shown that during his time with Bayern Munich and now with Canada. Speaking of Davies, here he is on the ball, cutting inside. Not getting much so far as he plays it in for Laren. Laren can't play back to him. Nonetheless, Eustachio is getting on the ball now. Osorio now in space. So it looks like Eustachio may be out of this game. Jonathan Osorio, the Toronto FC man, now checking in. Here's Miller on the ball. Miller plays through for David. A little deflection. Laren tried getting to it as cleared away there by Den Donker. With that, Victoria checks in, and here comes Canada again. Victoria went in for a little while, and here comes Belgium the other way, courtesy of Openda. It's a 1-on-2 as Johnson goes with Openda. Openda goes down, and it's a free kick for Belgium. Yellow card coming out, rightfully so, for Alistair Johnston. Again, nervy moments here. But in my opinion, with Johnson, that's kind of a necessary foul. You've got to do that. Otherwise, Openda might have been in the clear there against Boyan. We might have been 2-0. But it's still a free kick in a dangerous position. So you never know what's going to happen. And in my opinion, I think anything could happen in that regards. So Openda goes down. This is about maybe 20, 25 yards away from goal, at least 20 meters away from goal. So there is a chance, and you do have Kevin De Bruyne on your team. You do have your sharpshooters that can get free kicks up and over if Belgium does want to make this a 2-0 game, which they rightfully do. As we see it, take another look at Openda going down courtesy of Johnson. Johnson going there with one leg, might have been two, but it did not go through. So in that regards, no red card, at least motioned there. So, 84th minute. You got about 6 minutes plus stoppage time remaining. Kevin De Bruyne to take the corner kick here for Belgium. Got 2 men in the wall for Canada, interestingly enough. So, Belgium thinking of maybe going indirect here. Could be direct. I don't know. It's only in the mind of Kevin De Bruyne do we know what's going to happen. Either way, the refs get everything settled down. Here we go. De Bruyne clips us into the box. Header goes too high. Den Donker got his head to it first, but could not steer that on frame as it goes over the crossbar, out for a Canadian goal kick. Canadians have about 5 minutes plus stoppage time remaining if they want to do something big here. Adekungbe plays it forward, looking for Miller. Nonetheless, Belgium clears it out. Canada bringing in a lot of guys who have played in MLS. Of course, their season got done November 5th. Nonetheless, here comes De Bruyne the other way. De Bruyne's shot goes into the stands. Kevin De Bruyne with a lot of opportunities today, and he had another opportunity to maybe put this one on ice. Here we go. Kone again for Canada. Victoria. Now to Adekungbe. Adekungbe now to Buchanan. Back to Adekungbe. Out on the left, Adekungbe swings this one into the box. Laren leaps up to get it, but it's off frame and probably lucky for Thibaut Courtois because he was leaning toward his left while Kyle Laren was on his right. If Laren just does a simple tap in there, I think that's a goal. That's a goal in my opinion. But Kyle Laren with another opportunity. Boy, oh boy, Canada is just knocking on the door and they can't seem to catch a break. Something's got to give here for Belgium. Something will give. If not, kudos and probably lucky for Belgium, especially knowing they're facing Morocco and Croatia. As I mentioned before, Croatia, quite an interesting team in terms of finishing, especially if they can get to the pace where they were 2018, even back in Euro 2022, although they went out in the round of 16 to Spain, I believe. Yeah, that was a crazy game. Spain, I think, scored 6 goals, pardon me, in that match. Nonetheless, here's Belgium, played through for Trossard. Trossard, edge of the box, now cuts inside, goes end line, and he can't cross it in. It goes out, and he knows it too. Roberto Martinez, though, applauding the effort as Belgium continues to take Canada out of attacking territory. 3 minutes left to go. 3 minutes left to go in this game, basically. Basically, this is it. 3 minutes plus stoppage time. And Canada still in need of a goal if they are to end out a draw. Like I mentioned, these two, if they were to draw, would be at the top of the table, knowing that Morocco and Croatia both drew 0-0 because one of those deciders is goals scored. If it stands the way it is, Belgium would be on top of the group. Canada would be dead last. Morocco and Croatia would be tied for second. Here's Miller playing it through. Somehow gets through for Laren. He dances his way, but Vertonghen's able to snatch it out of his feet. Throwing back in for Canada. Still lots of nervy moments in this one. Lots of nervy moments to be wary of, too, I should note. And now the ref's going to have a talk with Axel Witsel. There, Witsel, of course, being a veteran, made his debut at the senior level 14 years ago. Although he's kind of bursted on the scene later, especially with Borussia Dortmund, after spending a lot of time with some different clubs, especially in Belgium, and then out at Zenit St. Petersburg, I believe. Yes, been with Dortmund. Now he's with Atletico Madrid. So here's Davies on the ball, going up against Witsel. Alphonso Davies sends us back out to Miller. Miller clips us into the box, headed away there by Alderweireld. Once again, played back. Kamal Miller being the center back, at a lot of reps with Montreal. A lot of people were touting him as Defender of the Year. Once again, out for Miller. Played through Adekungbe. His cross bounces out. Corner kick now for Canada. About a minute left to go in regulation, and then we got stoppage time coming up right here from Ahmad Bin Ali Stadium. Match day 1 of this World Cup. Of course, this being day 4 of that, and then you got Group G and Group H having match day 1 tomorrow. Nonetheless, corner swung in, and it goes past everybody. Story of the day for Canada. Many opportunities, can't get much on it. Goal kick for Belgium. A lot of the guys just looking around, just trying to do something in Belgium in ways. The fans, they've got the camera on them, courtesy of FIFA. There's Romelu Lukaku not starting today, not playing later in the tournament too against Morocco on Sunday as he is out with an injury. It's kind of a late scratch. Belgium might have thought he would be able to overcome it. Nonetheless, here we see them again. Shot there by Mounier going with the outside of his boot, goes off of Vittoria. Now a corner kick for Belgium as we now are in stoppage time. And believe it or not, folks, it is a short 5 minutes of stoppage time here. I never thought I would say that, but here we are. A short 5 minutes of stoppage time here at Al Rayyan, Qatar. And Belgium went perfect pretty well. They went perfect in 2018, got 7 points, I believe, in 2014 to start off. Trying to start off their 2022 campaign with a W. Kevin De Bruyne going to take a short corner here as he beckons Trossard towards the ball for the quick pass. And here we go. Trossard gives it back to De Bruyne. De Bruyne now going end line and sends it right to Borjan. Just like that, back out to Canada we go. Out of Kungba on the right. Now to Kone. Kone now to Johnston. Canada ready's back. So does Belgium with their men back. As here's Osorio. Jonathan Osorio looks for options. Back to Kone. Back out to Johnson. He's put some good balls in the day. Can he put one in here? Johnson whips this one into the box. Larin gets ahead to it, but it goes right to Courtois. And Thibaut Courtois. A little bit of a new hairstyle. It's got a little bit of the brown hair on him after being black-haired for majority of his time being the Belgian netminder and his time at Real Madrid. Either way, it's pretty good. Pretty good performance from him too, especially in the first half as he saved an Alphonso Davies penalty and then also saved some other shots on goal. Canada has had so many options. In the first half, they actually had 2.16 expected goals. Belgium, on the other hand, was at like 0.5. So that itself tells you the difference between how Canada and Belgium have played this game. Nonetheless, here's Miller going into the box, cuts inside, trying to play through for David as it's cleared by Witsel back out to Trossard. And with that, Belgium tries to take it towards the corner. Trossard going with a pretty moderate pace, nonetheless, slows it down. For Belgium, the biggest thing is keeping possession to stop Canada from any type of counterattack. Onana, not a Mounier, back to Onana. Or Dendoncker, rather. Alderweireld. And with that, Canada continues to play that high line. You have to give credit to them. Thrown for Belgium. About 2.5 minutes left to go in stoppage time. So you got Mounier now on the ball. Throws this in, looking for Trossard to actually get to Openda. As Openda on the ball. Once again, playing kind of contempt. Thought about the shot. He actually went to the center there, not passing it out to the wing. Might have been a smart move, might have been a little ill-advised there, but either way, here's Castagna. Castagna back to De Bruyne. A little bit of a touch, cuts inside, back to Openda, and it's deflected back to Borjan. Here come the Canadians if they can do anything big. Borjan plays it all the way forward, and Larin can't get there as Courtois just has to chest it down. He'll pick it up about 1.5 minutes to go in this stoppage time. Here's Castagna. Now to De Bruyne. Flick back out to Castagna. And Trossard had to realize, oh man, the ball was right there. That was funny. He had to realize it there. And I think it was enough time for Miller to come in with a tackle. Did end up getting a little bit of the boot on Trossard. Nonetheless, Canada tries to continue getting that equalizer. They've been looking for goal number 1 throughout this entire game. It's Kamal Miller, who went down there fresh off the tackle, is able to get up. He'll walk off gingerly for a little while. I think he might walk back to his position. Some teams and some of the players on those teams are getting some water, some final refreshments before this is all said and done. Back to Openda, crosses this one in, and just like Jamar chasing the end zone, Borjan will catch that one. Back to Canada we go. Here's Adekungbe. Last chance possibly for Canada if they want to do anything big. Here's Osorio, center of the pitch. No pressure coming so far. He goes back out to Kone. 5 minutes through stoppage time, and that's going to do it. Belgium takes game one of this World Cup. They start off their campaign 1-0 against Canada. It was a rough go at it as Canada, although doing pretty well in their first ever World Cup match, had most of their momentum. That was until Michy Batshuayi, seen here on the camera, scored the opener in the 44th minute. An absolute peach of a goal, a beauty, one may call it. And with that, Belgium will be at the top of the group with 3 points and a 1 point or +1 goal differential. Morocco and Croatia, cannot speak today, are currently tied at second with 1 point, 0 goal differential, and Canada is in last with 0 points and a -1 goal differential. Canada will need points against Croatia on Sunday and against Morocco if they are to advance to the next round. That will do it from our coverage here. Hope you guys enjoyed this coverage of the FIFA World Cup 2022 right here on YouTube. Once again, coming to you live from the edit base at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication. I'll be back on Friday, back at Taylor Place, to call England versus US in what should be a great matchup on tap. But for now, I'm Mahir Hassan. So long, good night, stay safe, and happy Thanksgiving, everybody.